It was just another ordinary Tuesday at Jefferson High, the kind where the hallways buzzed with locker slams, shouted greetings, and the faint echoes of laughter bouncing off the walls. But that day was anything but ordinary, and no one, least of all Sarah Bennett, could have seen it coming. Sarah wasn't your typical cheerleader. Sure, she wore the uniform, her hair in the perfect high ponytail, and could nail a backflip without breaking a sweat. But that was just the surface. Beneath it, she was fierce, steady, and quiet, someone who didn't need to chase attention because it always seemed to find her. She carried herself with a kind of calm strength most people mistook for confidence, but really it came from something much deeper. Her story wasn't easy. When she was 12, her dad walked out and her mom juggled 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. Complaining wasn't an option. So Sarah learned to endure, and more importantly, to fight back in her own way. Every morning before school, every evening after cheer practice, she practiced martial arts, a gift from her grandfather, a retired taekwondo master who had raised her when her mum couldn't. Few people knew about it, and she liked it that way. Strength was her secret weapon, kept tucked away, until the moment she would finally need it. And that moment, it arrived silently, almost like a shadow creeping through the lockers. It started with whispers. It always starts like that. Did you see what she posted last night? Thinks she's better than everyone. Too good to hang out with us. The voices belonged to the usual suspects. Bryce, the football team's golden boy with a grin that could charm a teacher, and a mean streak that could break a kid, Megan and Tasha. 2 girls who thrived on drama like it was air, and a few others who clung to them like shadows. Afraid to step out of line, they didn't hate Sarah for anything she'd done. She hadn't said a harsh word, hadn't humiliated anyone, hadn't broken a single rule. She had simply dared to shine on her own terms. That was a threat. What none of them knew was that just a few days ago, Sarah had politely turned down Bryce's invitation to the winter dance. To most, it was nothing. But to Bryce, it was a challenge, a blow to his ego. And humiliation demands a response. Their plan was cruel and deliberate. By the end of second period, as the hallways swelled with students shifting classes, Bryce and his gang moved in. Sarah saw them coming, predictable but dangerous. She didn't flinch. "Hey, cheer princess," Bryce said, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Aren't you forgetting how this school works? You don't get to say no to me." Sarah's eyes narrowed, steady and unafraid. "I don't owe you anything, Bryce." The noise in the hall dipped as kids sensed the tension. Phones came out, quick flashes of screens, recording history in real time. Some students smirked, others froze, unsure whether to step back or step in. Then, in one swift motion, Bryce grabbed her jacket. The green cheer jacket, hand-me-downs and careful savings from her mum, was ripped from her shoulders and into his hands. Before she could react, he yanked hard, tearing the jacket halfway open. Gasps rippled through the hall. Megan laughed cruelly. Phones were out, recording every humiliating second. It was meant to break her, to reduce her to just another victim of high school power games. But Sarah wasn't built to break. In one fluid motion, one she had practiced countless times in quiet, empty rooms, she stepped back, grounded herself, and delivered a roundhouse kick so fast, so precise, that it struck Bryce squarely in the side of his face. The sound echoed like a drumbeat across the hall. His phone flew from his hands. He went down hard, hitting the floor with a thud that silenced the crowd. And suddenly, The hallway was frozen not with laughter, not with mockery, but with stunned disbelief. Everyone saw it. Not just the kick, but her. The calm in her stance, the fire in her eyes, the quiet power she radiated. The girl they had dismissed as just a cheerleader now stood like a warrior. Bryce groaned, more from shattered pride than pain. Tasha stumbled backward, and Megan froze, phone still trembling in her hand. Slowly, the students around them parted, unsure of what to do, unsure of how to react. A teacher arrived moments later, breathless. But Sarah didn't move. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She simply held the remnants of her jacket in one hand and her dignity in the other. That was the moment the tide shifted. The aftermath was chaotic, as it always is. The school launched an investigation. Videos spread online. Parents stormed the principal's office. Bryce faced suspension, and the administration was forced to confront a culture of bullying they had long ignored. Sarah could have chosen silence. She could have walked away and let it go. But she didn't. She could have stayed silent, let the hallways swallow the moment, and walked away. But Sarah spoke. Not from anger, not from revenge. From courage, she told her story, the late nights she spent training, the weight of being judged for saying no, the invisible pressure on girls to smile, to bend, to please. She spoke about what it feels like to be targeted simply for setting boundaries. She reminded everyone that strength doesn't always roar, but when it must, it can strike like thunder. Her words spread like wildfire, first through the school, whispered in classrooms and locker rooms, then beyond. A local journalist picked up the story. Students who had stayed quiet for years found their voices, sharing experiences they had long hidden in the shadows. The culture began to shift, slowly but surely. Teachers listened. Administrators acted. Friends reached out to one another in ways they hadn't before. And through it all, Sarah didn't just survive, she inspired. It wasn't just about a kick, a jacket, or a moment of confrontation. It was about showing that courage can be quiet, dignity can be unshakable, and standing up for yourself can ripple out, changing the world around you, one voice at a time. And in that change, Sarah found something even more powerful than victory. She found a truth that no bully, no whisper, and no unfair moment could ever take away the power to define her own story.